Two-headed right, two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one-headed right. Two heads are better than one.
Hello, everybody. My name is Monty Harper.
My name is Evalyn.
And together we are the Two-Headed Writer. We are a father-daughter writing team from Stillwater, Oklahoma, although Evalyn has recently left the nest and she is going to the University of Iowa in Iowa City, Iowa, far away. And so we must talk once a week about our writing via video chat, and we decided to record those conversations and share them with the world for posterity so that, you know, when we're famous and we've published all kinds of books that got turned into movies, people say, how did you get your start? We'll have this record on.
As long as YouTube still exists.
Will YouTube outlast our quest to get published? Because so far it seems to be taking about long enough that maybe it won't. It's a long road to hoe. A long road to hoe. A long road. It's a long, 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 long.
My eyebrows can't go any higher.
Assuming everyone has edited out the last bit of monkey business, we will now proceed to discuss our own writing, the writing we've done together, and the things Evalyn is learning at school about writing and other writing questions and challenges that have beset upon us over the past week since last we spoke.
If you've been keeping up with our writing journey, you'll know that we recently submitted our manuscript to a bunch of agents, and we heard back from some of them in very specific ways, which is cool. And the very specific ways that we heard back were, hey, your beginning doesn't quite work for us. So we, and by we I mean he, has been working on an alternate beginning to our story. We found a new spot to start that feels better than the old spot. As of a few minutes ago, I just finished reading the new and improved first draft of our beginning. I liked it. Overall, positive thoughts. Like, I like where we started. I like everything that happens. I do have some issues, mostly with the wording of things, but a couple with the order in which information is given to the reader. But those are things that can be easily fixed. I'm going to go leave a bunch of notes once we finish recording, and then we shall see what comes next.
I said, let's just get this out of the way. You don't like the first line. I said that before she read it. And she said, yeah, I don't like the first line. And then, because she never does. And then when she read it, the first thing she said is, you're right, I don't like the first line.
I never like his first line. It's always awkward.
That's what I need you for, Evalyn.
I wonder if I'll like the first line of your book.
Interesting thought. Maybe because you aren't, like, it's not yours, you don't have to feel ownership of it. Maybe you'll be more open to whatever I wrote. On the other hand, I doubt it. You probably, Speaking of, so with my own writing, I tweeted yesterday a photo. I printed out the entire work in progress of my own book and hole punched all the pages and put it into a 3-ring binder. And so today I got my courage up and read through the first 6 chapters. I tried really hard to just read it, but I ended up making a few notes. I'm pleased. I know there's work to be done, some things to move around, and some things that need to be added in, but for the most part, I'm feeling like it's working pretty well as a story. And so, I don't hate it. I thought maybe I'd hate it, but no, I don't hate it. So
Yay! Claps for
There's-
not hating things.
yeah. So Evelyn, how about you? What about your work in progress?
I am trying to get to the point where I will have an outline that is solid enough that I can start writing in November. So yesterday I went back to look at the outline I already have, and I was like, okay, cool. My middle section is kind of weak. My beginning is less weak, but also there's a couple holes. I feel like my ending's solid. Like I know how it's gonna end.
That's good.
Yeah, and not that the middle is weak per se. Like total like structure plot wise, like I know what's happening. It's just this is a quest model story, and quests are supposed to have a lot of obstacles, and I don't have enough obstacles yet. Like I know the path that they need to take. I just need to stick all of the little hurdles onto said path. So I've been doing some brainstorming into that. I actually had a pretty long conversation with one of my friends here who's also an English and creative writing major about like different obstacles and things that would make sense for like the characters. Talked about like, okay, so like this character has this sort of issue, this is their flaw, so like the obstacles that do this and this and this make sense for them, right? I just have a bunch of note cards with me. And so I took a note card, and for each scene, there's a note card where I write basically like the bare bones of what happens in that scene. And then on the back, I'll write any details that I have down already in my notebook.
That's a lot to put on one card, isn't it?
Scene 1 here. I have scene 1. Cora is telling the trees about life in the castle. Her friend Princess Adeline is being courted by several nobles, and the trees have opinions. Cora herself is in love with Adeline, which makes watching all the suitors attempting to woo her difficult. And then details on the back. You really can't see that. Oh, there we go. One suitor gave up, so now we're down to 2. Lord Creepy is from a neighboring kingdom they have historically had strong ties to. Prince Alexander is from a coastal kingdom they've had little contact with, and nobody heard of him before he showed up. The holly tree suggests murder as a solution to her problem. And then her father interrupts and tells her that Adeline wants to talk to her, and that's where the scene ends.
I like that. The holly tree suggests murder, because holly trees are murderous.
Yeah, there's 4 trees. Each of them has their own very distinct personality.
What about your classes? Any interesting writing going on there?
Last night, I actually ended up sitting down and writing the outline for my next foundations project. Just a page and a half of little moments. So the concept is supposed to be moments that accumulate over time. I had this concept kind of, I'd worked on it before, but I always felt like I didn't have enough to flesh out like the in between the significant parts of the story. And so this prompt kind of allows me to not have to do that. I can just focus on like the important moments, like the pinpoint moments in the relationship between these 2 characters. So where things change. So each little scene is a significant change. And the further along you go, the closer together they end up being in time. Because they get into a situation where like each interaction that's happening is changing how the relationship is and how it is viewed by the characters.
Sounds cool.
Hopefully it will be.
Yeah.
the Iowa City Book Festival was this past week. I guess today is technically the last day, but I'm not going to any of the events today. I did go to one yesterday, which I enjoyed. It was an author reading out of her book, which is a series of essays, and I actually thought her writing style was really nice. I just don't typically read narrative essays a lot. I don't typically write narrative essays. I had to for class this past assignment. It was all right. Just looking at the lineup for this festival, and then going further and looking at the lineup for all of the readings that are happening at Prairie Lights, which is like the really well-known bookstore here, and the events happening at the library, and etc. There's not a lot of kidlit stuff happening or young adult stuff happening, and this is put on by the City of Literature group, because Iowa City is the only UNESCO City of Literature in North America, which is really great, but also they take themselves, it seems, very seriously and only want to talk about literary fiction, which is annoying when you don't want to be writing literary fiction. And then some of your classmates take the stance that anything that's not literary fiction or poetry is juvenile, when they're literally all teenagers. Well, not all of them. I guess technically some of the people in my foundations class aren't freshmen, but most of them are.
And I think that juvenile fiction is juvenile.
Yes.
That's very astute of them.
Ha 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 ha. But like, they don't take it seriously. Every time I say I want to write middle grade and young adult fantasy, people are like, oh, interesting. I'm like, you're writing poems. Less people read poems than middle grade and young adult fantasy. So even my workshop professor, who I loved so much, I said, oh, I want to write for children and young adults. And she goes, oh yeah, that's a really large market right now. I'm like, no, that's not why.
Well, tell us why.
Because stories shape how we view our world, and it's important for children to get stories that are positive reflections of themselves and the real world and the whole mirror window thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The literature written for children is the most important.
Yeah.
The most important formative time of our lives. What you read then sticks with you and matters. It matters way more. Like,
yeah.
You're wanting to do the important stuff. And then these other people kind of looking down their noses at that, like, oh, well, I write lofty poetry for adults. It's like, well, good for you. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not a reason to be looking down their nose at what you want to do. You have a passion for this because it's important.
Like, I don't actually have any idea of how to get more involved, but it makes me want to get more involved at least on campus, if not in the wider Iowa City community, in the literary circles, just so I can be like, hey, be more diverse. Like, in terms of ages, also probably still other stuff too, but mostly in terms of ages.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of Two-Headed Writer. We would love it if you would subscribe to our channel, and you can see all the new episodes as they come out on a weekly basis. And also click the little thumbs up button down there. Give us a thumbs up. Be sure to leave a comment. And let's see, what can we ask? What kind of comment can we ask for today? How about, what genre do you write? And what do you think of children's literature as a serious endeavor? So let us know what you think about that little conversation we just had there. All right, and we'll see you again next Wednesday for more deep, heartfelt discussion about writing and the things we're writing and why we're passionate about writing them. Yes, this has been the Two-Headed Writer. Always remember that
two heads are better than one.